What is up, guys? It is the Bluebloods here, and man, this guy to my side needs no introduction, man. We got the one and only Antwan Owens, first team SWAC All-American, was top 3 in the SWAC and tackles for loss, top 10 in sacks this year, absolutely dominated the SWAC coming in from Georgia Tech. But Antwan, appreciate you coming on the show, man.
Nah, man, I appreciate you for having me. It's a blessing.
Absolutely, man. So let's go way back. I know it's been a while, but take me back to coming out of high school. Let's talk about your recruiting process, what that was like, and which teams were recruiting you the hardest.
Coming out of high school, the teams that recruited me the hardest was pretty much Georgia Tech, of course, UCF, and if I'm not mistaken, I think Indiana was like my top three, for the most part. But in all, I had like maybe like 34 offers. So it was a strenuous process. I visited a lot of schools. I did a lot of research on a lot of things, but ultimately, I feel like Georgia Tech was the best place for me academically and athletically.
Man, and we can kind of go into both. So, outside of just academics and the fit, what was it about the coaching staff and the program of Georgia Tech that drew you to them? And then also, what also played into your decision to transfer from Georgia Tech?
It was a lot of decisions, you know what I'm saying, that made me go to Georgia Tech. For one, like I said, it was really the academic side of things. Being a top 5 public institution in the world is, you know what I mean, that's second to none. And also, it was just the relationship that I had with the head coach at the time, Coach Paul Johnson, my D-line coach. They were some good men, and I definitely, wanted to be a follower on what they had going on. So when they left my sophomore year, it was more of a transitioning period for me because freshman year I played DN, 10th grade, not freshman, but sophomore year I played defensive tackle, and then going into my 11th grade, my junior year, I was more trying to center around establishing myself as one or the other. You know what I mean? So that first year that they came in, we actually ran a 3-4 defense. So it was more like I ran a defense before, but that wasn't, the defense that I was looking for at that time, only because I was trying to establish myself as an inside guy, outside guy. So I was having success actually in that defensive formation that we had that year. I ended up tearing my ACL the 8th game of the season against Pittsburgh. So when I did that, I pretty much had a epiphany of some sort. You know what I mean? The guys was just rallied around me, and I just feel like that a lot of times, with what was going on there, it was more obvious getting the short end of the stick in terms of playing time, because like I said, had been playing since my freshman year there, you know what I mean, and I was voted team captain that same year, my junior year, that I tore my ACL. So I was already looked at as one of those guys, that was in a leadership role. And for me, to just take such a far back seat, or be forced into such a backseat role, it was just something that I really couldn't do, not at that time, you know what I mean. But like I said, I feel like the situation ultimately made me who I am today. Made me definitely choose Jackson State, and it's a blessing that I did.
So, man, the transfer portal has become a huge deal in college football. So, looking back at your high school recruiting process, compare it to your transfer portal recruiting process. What was that like once you enter your name in the portal from Georgia Tech?
It was kind of insane, you know what I mean? Only because I really, talking to a lot of the older guys that was in my situation, when they transferred, they had to go talk to the head coach, and then it was more like you had specific schools that you had to send, you know what I mean? I guess a transcript or something like that too. But it was more of shoot, I went talked to the head coach, everything was good with that on that end. So when I entered my name in the portal, it was maybe like 15 schools that had DM me like the same day. It was like, yo, we turning on the phone with you. UCF, like before the coach Malzahn and his whole staff got there, like they had offered me like the same day. So I was this close to going to UCF before I went. Like I'm literally this close. So yeah, it was just a crazy experience. But we really couldn't take visits and all that because of COVID restrictions. So that was kind of a downside to it. But other than that, it was just an amazing process. You know what I mean? I had I definitely seen what type of caliber player I am only by the schools that was hitting me up. So I knew that I was getting dealt the bad hand where I was, only because I had so much support behind me. And every time I told someone a story, the actual story of what legitimately happened is like dang, like you was a 3rd-year starter. You know what I'm saying? So it was one of those things where, you know, I definitely took advantage of the new, you know what I mean, the recruiting and the new stuff in my, like, the transfer portal, because I was hitting up, you know, every coach that didn't hit me up that day, I was hitting them up. Hey, you know what I'm saying? You know, I'm in the portal. Like, yeah, just it was just a crazy experience for me, and I really appreciate that the NCAA has made it that way.
Oh man, I'm not surprised, Coach Malzahn. As an Auburn graduate, I was there when Malzahn was there. Not surprised at all to hear that. I know him and Travis Williams are always on the recruiting trail for that team. But man, everyone wants to know. Jackson State has so much momentum going into last recruiting cycle, and we saw what they did this year. Of course, landing Travis Hunter, the
Right.
#1 recruit in the country. When you got that communication from head coach Deion Sanders in Jackson State, what made that the place to finish your career?
It's actually a funny story because like when they offered me, you know what I mean, it was one of them things to where, you know, like I said, I had so many schools hit me up to where it was like, you know, Jackson State was kind of on the back burner. You know, I I believed in, you know what I mean, what he was saying on, you know, social media and everything that was going around, but I wasn't really in the fold yet. You know what I mean? So I was really just on the outside looking in. I was still talking to a couple other schools, and you know, the biggest thing to me is I didn't want to commit before I graduated from Georgia Tech. Like, I wanted to get my degree first, you know what I mean, and then actually sit down and have a chance to think about it. So it kind of actually narrowed it down for me in that sense, because a lot of schools, like, they wanted me to commit, you know what I mean, right on the spot. Like, I had like multiple like Big Ten schools, like 3 SEC schools that wanted me to like commit. Like, if you're not committing like next week, then we probably gonna have to give it to another guy. And I'm like, you know, that's cool. You know what I mean? Because, you know, I just didn't want to rush my decision. So when I think it was maybe like around February, because I said I was transferring maybe in December. So, you know, I was taking my time with the whole process, and, you know, had a couple destinations in mind. And Coach Prime, like, somebody actually texted me from a number like, hey, you know, Coach Deion Sanders gonna hit you up from this number, you know, answer. So it was literally like really funny, because when he called me, I was actually playing a game. You know what I mean? So when he called me, and I seen who it was, because at first it was a Dallas number. You know, I don't know nobody from Dallas. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, it's probably a bill collector. Like, I ain't really even. I maybe picked up like after it rung like 7 times. So when I answered it and I said, he said, yo, man, this Coach Prime taking so long to answer the phone. Like, I was on the headset, and like all my friends on the headset, they're like, yo, that's Deion Sanders, bro. Like, bro, you finna go to Jackson State. You finna go to Jackson State. I'm like, nah. So we kept talking. We had a good conversation. You know, he was just telling me about all the pros, you know what I'm saying, of coming out there, the type of player I am, where he see me going at in the future as far as like league-wise. And, you know, it was just a lot of things. It was just a lot of honesty there. You know what I mean? And a lot of like genuineness, you know, when he called me. So, you know, I took that into account. And of course, I'm from Tallahassee, a place where he played legendary football at, you know, at Florida State. He's a Florida boy himself. So when I went home, you know, just a lot of my close relatives and my family, they was just like, you know, you have to at least give it some thought. You know what I mean? Like, don't just say it was HBCU, you know what I mean? And yes, like, give it some thought. So that's what I did. I had to go to Mississippi. I had to go to Ida Bena, which is where my grandmother's from. I had to go up there to I think it was a birthday party or something like that. But we passed through Jackson. So I was passing through, like, I was maybe like 2 hours away. I told him, like, hey, look, you know, I'm passing through Jackson, you know what I mean? I'm just trying to see like what the facilities and everything like, you know what I mean? And like, he was just like, yeah, man, like, shoot, come on. If you passing through, come on over. We'll show you, you know what I mean, how everything was looking. So when I seen everything, it was like, yo, like, it's a big step down, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is not what I'm really used to. But it was more like, when I got there, he was just more like, yo, like, that's the problem that we having right now. Like, you know, it's money's being made off the back of guys like you and guys that look like you. And, you know, these are the institutions where it first originated at. Like, going on to campus and seeing that big Walter Payton statue every day, you know what I mean? It lets you know is that, you know, the greats do come here. You know what I mean? Robert Brazile, Walter Payton, like, those are guys who are legendary. You know what I'm saying? So after he was, you know, talking to me a little bit more, and I'm like, yo, like, I could come here and do this. I could come here and do this. You know what I'm saying? And shoot, we had got like a few more people on board, and then James had hit me up, and James was like, yo, bro, like, we're gonna be beasts, you know what I'm saying? Like, we gotta do it. So that was just, you know what I'm saying? That was how that worked out.
Man, it paid off in a big way, I'd say. I mean, you and James both had just ridiculous years in
Yeah.
terms of, in terms of sacks and awards and everything like that. But man, the main thing is you got a ring your final year. What did that mean to you to win the 2021 SWAC championship?
It meant so much to me, you know what I mean? Only because it was like my first championship ever. You know what I'm saying? Like I never won a state championship. I didn't win a conference championship at Georgia Tech. Didn't win a bowl game at Georgia Tech. You know what I'm saying? So just to be in a room full of guys who all work towards a common goal and we achieved that goal, and just to see all of our hard work actually pay off in the end, it was one of them things that I'll hold with me forever. You know what I mean? Like the relationships I have with the guys on the team is unbreakable. Like when I went to pro day, like them guys took me out to breakfast before pro day, left pro day, we all went out to dinner. I actually stayed the night at one of my teammates' house. Like it was just all love, you know what I'm saying? Like that's just what type of team we had, what we have, you know what I mean? And I honestly feel like that's why we won the 2021 SWAC championship, because we were such a close-knit group. I feel like defensive line was the closest out of any position group, you know what I mean? Only because of the places that we came from. We had me, James. You had Katron Evans, who was a 4-star recruit from, you know what I mean, committed to Tennessee. A lot of multiple guys. You had Niles Gaddy. You know what I'm saying? You had people who actually knew what it meant, you know what I mean, to put in work and to actually try to work towards something, you know what I mean, actually see that vision. A lot of people don't see that vision. They see, team we have now, you know what I mean, a lot of people just don't see that vision, you know what I mean, long term. And I'm happy that the guys that I played with, to the right and to the left of me, we all seen that vision. We all knew what we had to do each day we came out to practice, the mindset we had to have, the mindset we had to make sure our teammates had. And I feel like, it was just so special to me. Like this whole season was just so special to me.
Man, I mean, I think you guys had the most Power 5 transfers on a D-line that I've seen. I mean, even from Coinus Miller coming in from Auburn, you
Right,
mentioned Katron, you mentioned James, yourself, Niles Gaddy coming from Tennessee. I mean, the defense was loaded, and then at the linebacker spot, you had Aubrey coming from Missouri. The
right.
list goes on and on with Nugget from, committed to Georgia. But,
Yeah.
you kind of already broke down my next question because I was going to ask how special, like what made that defense so special, but you kind of highlighted on that. But going back, man, what
Yeah.
what was it that made you guys just click as a unit so early? Because I mean, even from week one, you held FAMU, who was a playoff team, to 6 points. So what
Right.
made you guys click so quickly?
Honestly, to be real with you, it's a lot of factors that come into that. But I would say like the most the most concurrent factors was every day coming out there seeing Coach Prime out there. You know what I mean? Because we defense. Like he's a defensive legend. You know what I'm saying? So you can't come out there like half stepping with anything like effort, awareness, like attitude. You can't come out there half stepping with none of that. You know what I'm saying? And especially on the defensive side of the ball, because we had so many athletes and so many great guys that, like you said, came from D1. Like we had the mindset of like, all right, we know why we're here and we come here to, you know what I'm saying, to achieve a goal. And I feel like even from the front end all the way to the back end with, Shiloh, like you say, Nugget, a lot of a guy that's looked over a lot. Al, you know what I mean? Al was a guy. Like a lot of people don't know this, but corner like Al was a guy now. Al was a guy. Arby was a guy. Like we had guys, you know what I'm saying? That guys is like, yo, like you're not finna show me up, basically. Like I'm finna beat you. Like one-on-one, I'm finna beat you every play. And that's really what it comes down to. Like you gotta have that dog mentality. And I feel like a lot of times, that's what we had. Like we just knew that we was better than you. Like you're not finna beat us. You know what I mean? Like, period. Like, and even coming into that first game, like you said, with FAMU, it kind of meant a little bit more to me, only because, FAMU, hometown kid, you know what I mean, grew up born and raised in Tallahassee. So I just already knew what type of, attitude I had to come with that game. And, the guys made sure, like, literally on the plane down there, like, Antwan, you can't lose, FAMU. You can't go at Tallahassee, loser. You know what I'm saying? So just that extra motivation I heard from guys every day was out there, like, it was just, that was just what made us special. Like, we just had that mindset, like, we gonna get it by any means.
Man, you guys definitely did. And you mentioned how many guys from the Power Five y'all had on the team. And a lot of subscribers always ask me to ask players who transferred in from Power Five schools this question. So, what were the biggest differences between Power Five football and FCS football to you?
The biggest difference, bar none, is just the resources. Everything else is pretty much the same. The players are still good. I feel like you could take a offensive lineman from Grambling or Tennessee State, and they will definitely kick a defensive lineman's ass from Georgia, FSU, any of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's no drop off as far as talent. It's no drop off as far as the coaching. You know what I mean? The only thing that the biggest difference is the resources. Like going into Georgia Tech, after practice every day, we had a hot tub, a cold tub. If you in the cold tub, you could get in the actual cold tub. At Jackson State, we had the trash cans. You know what I mean? And I'm 6'4", 290. I can't really, you know what I'm saying? I can't really get no good treatment in the trash. You know what I'm saying? Just that. We only had like 2 full-time ATRs, which is training people. We only had like 2 full-time those. Everybody else was a student volunteering. You know what I mean? And it was just the resources. Like, we just didn't have a lot of money that a lot of Power 5 teams had. But as far as, the talent wise and anything else outside of that, like, everything else was really the same to me. You know what I mean? Like, everything was really the same outside of resources. That's pretty much it.
Hey man, the narrative's changing. I think you're seeing that this offseason from the NFLPA Bowl with a bunch of FCS guys showing out to the Senior Bowl, Combine, etc. But one thing I got to watch you very up close with was the HBCU Legacy Bowl this year, man.
Mhm.
And there was a lot of guys who put on a show. But looking at you, man, looking back, what were your takeaways from that entire week and that game? And did you achieve everything you wanted to going into New Orleans?
Definitely. For me, the most important thing for me was staying healthy. I knew I had pro day a week and a half afterwards. You know what I mean? 2 weeks afterwards. So I really wasn't trying to go out there and hurt myself, but at the same time, I took it as an opportunity to showcase my skills. You know what I mean? So I try to showcase everything outside of just full on contact, because at the end of the day, I'm still a football player. Like, I can hit. You know what I mean? That's not gonna be the problem, but just showing how I move, you know what I mean? Making sure my hands are accurate, my eyes are accurate, my feet are working, my hips are loose. I got great, you know what I mean? Making sure I had great mental notes of everything that was going on as far as, what my defensive line coach was telling me, the objective of the defense as a whole. Just different things of what scouts wanted to see from me. That was my main thing going into that week. But like I say, like, outside of that, takeaways from that was, HBCU football has a great group of guys, you know what I mean? Has great, tremendous talent. And I feel like every guy that got invited to that bowl game, they tried to come out there and showcase their talents the best they could. And I actually feel like a lot of guys, improved their stock from coming out there that who you might, you know what I mean, made a skip by or maybe not even notice, if they hadn't came to that game. So I feel like it was a second to none experience. I loved every minute of it. I loved every minute of it. I appreciate all the sponsors and everything like that for inviting me, because like I say, it was a second to none experience.
Yeah, and I mean, again, this kind of goes back to even at Jackson State, the D line group, man. Because I'm a former O lineman, so every time you guys did one-on-ones, I was there. Like, I was right there. I had to see it. What was about the D line group that made you guys click so much and all have that intensity, from Savion to Michael Badajo to you? I mean, it goes on and on. Even Jerry Gardner on the sidelines, who ended up getting hurt early in the week. So, what
Yeah.
made y'all click so quickly, man? Just as all showing up in New Orleans, and of course y'all played against each other, but that D line group, man, I always saw you guys together.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, it was just a mutual respect thing. We all had heard about each other before we got there, and we knew what each other brought to the table. You know what I mean? Like, Michael, like, playing against them in Jackson was crazy. He took off against us. He had a great game. Savion, ultimately, he wasn't able to play that first game of the season, but just hearing about FAMU and being a hometown till as a kid, I knew that he was the truth. Even going back to Kane, I actually hadn't even heard of Jeremiah before, even because we're training together. So when he got to the training facility that I'm training here now in Atlanta, he was more like, hey, like, I remember you number 99, this and that. I'm like, yeah, man, that's me. You know what I mean? Like, what school you went to? He was like, I went to Valley. And I'm like, Valley, like, I ain't remember you seeing you out there on Valley. He was like, yeah, man, my ankle hurt. So I go back and he was like, my ankle was hurt. So I go back and look at, the statistics leaders and everything like that. Jeremiah Kane actually had a great season for Mississippi Valley. A lot of people don't know that because of the team and all that, but Jeremiah Kane has a great season. Like, he's a great defensive lineman. You know what I mean? Like, bar none. So we just had that mutual respect thing. Like, everybody knew everybody was good. We kind of clicked instantly. You know what I mean? Like, soon as the first night we was there, we just, we didn't really need no introduction. We knew each other was, you know what I'm saying? We made a couple of jokes about each other's team. Me, I made the most because we was undefeated. Yeah. Yeah. But you know what I'm saying? It was more like just a real vibe thing between us. It was just real cool, no negative vibes. I don't have nothing bad to say about them guys. Like, them guys, they're some great people, like, real talk.
Hey, man, I had a blast covering the event as well, man. You guys were giving the O-line all the help. Every time one of y'all won a rep, somebody in the background was like, was screaming, letting
Yeah,
them know.
yeah.
I loved it, man. I absolutely loved it. I know how it gets with the O-line, D-line, but I know a lot of Jackson State fans are interested, man. We all know the narrative that came from spring. No HBCU players were drafted last draft cycle, and I'll just say this: there's a negative possibility of that happening now with some of the guys that are coming out in the NFL draft. But for you, what was some of the feedback that you personally got from scouts at the Legacy Bowl?
A lot of feedback was really good. A lot of feedback was, I'm a tweener, which that's something I already knew because I played every position on D line. I played this year nose guard at 280. You know what I mean? So I knew that was one thing I was going to get. I was a tweener, and that's why I feel like it was important to showcase my skills as far as me showing my quickness off the edge, showing my strength on the inside. You know what I mean? Shedding blocks as violently as I can. Trying to turn that corner as fast as I can. So that was pretty much primarily what I really got from the scouts. Everyone else, as they look at film. So every team that approached me, every team that I interviewed with, they was, my film was great. I'm a great guy all around. Never had no, disciplinary issues or nothing like that. So to me, I feel like the only thing that I could really improve on was just, solidifying my position at either one or the other, or if not even doing that, making sure that that I'm versatile enough to do one or the other, regardless of what position you put me at. So that's really, what I got from the scouts, and I feel like I try to make that point that weekend and throughout my whole season.
Hey, man, I'm excited to see it. I know there's a lot of guys who got a lot of great feedback, and shout out to all 32 teams for showing up to the Legacy Bowl at one point or another. And the turnout during the game was great as well. But man, I love player comparisons, and there's nobody who does them better than the player themselves. So for you, who do you feel like you model your game after the most?
I have a few actually, because it's more like I have a mentality, and then I have a pass game, and I have a run game. So
Okay.
mentality wise, like, I'm not gonna lie, I was a big Robert Nkadichi fan growing up, like the biggest. You know what I mean? I know he's kind of old and like out of the league right now, but just the ferocity that he played with, like Saturday, like, dude, it was unmatched to me. As far as run game, I feel like I play a little bit like a Ed Oliver. I'm stout, you know what I mean? I can actually play any position on D-line, like just like Ed Oliver, you know what I mean? And if you asking me with pass rush, I would say probably John Franklin Myers for the Jets. He does a great job. He's also a versatile guy too, who plays the 3, 4, 5. You know what I mean? So that's really, like, if I see a player that I try to model my game after the most, I try to, at least incorporate some things from myself into them, whether it's height, weight, tenacity, mindset. You know what I mean? And those 3 guys, I feel like I embody the most, and a close fourth as far as mentality would be John Randall. You know what I mean? But that's like an OG GOAT to me. John Randall's like the GOAT. So.
John Randall doesn't get a lot of respect. I would say in terms like of course, everyone, the Aaron Donalds and Lawrence Taylor, those two kind of dominate the debate. But man, John Randall, a monster in his own right. But man, I know for an O lineman, man, I'm not supposed to be superstitious. I had to have my pregame routine perfect, or I was off. But for you, what's your pregame routine on game days?
Pregame routine on game days, it depends. If it's an early game, we have like a 12 or 1 o'clock game. I usually get up, I'll eat me a light breakfast, as far as, like probably just some fruit and some bread. I'll stretch, I go back to my room. I lay out my clothes. I pray. And then after I pray, I get dressed, come downstairs. Typically, we'll arrive to the stadium maybe like a 2 hours early, 2.5 hours early. So as soon as we get to the stadium, I take my time getting dressed. I go to the bathroom, take a number two. Then I come out. I go out to the field, stretch again. I get on a bike. Then after that, I try to get some like hand movements on the end zone on like the goal post. Then after that, I'll probably like just jog around the 50 and then back into our locker room. That was like typically, you know what I mean, my game days for early days. But if we had like a late game, like how we did in Miami when we played at 3, and then Memphis when we played at like 6, I probably won't wake up to like 9. I try to get a little bit more sleep in. Then when before I even go eat, I'll stretch. After I stretch, I go downstairs, I eat, come back upstairs, probably stretch, or I'll lay down for a little bit more. Then after that, I'll pray. Then that cycle starts. I pray, get dressed, go to bus, yeah, all that.
Oh man, I like it. And defensive players, every time I have an offensive guy, y'all get thrown under the bus. D
Right.
linemen and DBs, they say you guys start all the trash talk. You're the only trash talkers. It's always you guys. So for you, how big of a trash talker are you during the game?
Me myself, I think of myself as more like a sarcastic trash talker. You know what I mean? I'm not one of them guys that's like MF and all that like that. I'll probably say something like, "We winning real bad, like we like winning by a lot." I'll probably ask him like, "Hey, bro, I'm flipping some Waffle House. I'm like, what you think?" I'll do something like real slight that'll like piss him off like just enough. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I don't never like disrespect nobody or nothing like that. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, everybody's still human. But I definitely, you know what I mean, I definitely try to get in a lot of people's head. I feel like a lot of times before games, like literally I'll say like the night before a game, and it's really funny that I'm really sharing this right now. Like we were really going on Instagram and we'll see like who somebody dating, like like that type of like I forgot who said this, Jalen Ramsey. Like when he
Hmm.
started, yeah, we got to do the same thing. You know what I'm saying? Like we'll go in there, we'll see like who, you know what I mean, who dating, who the star players is. Okay, what girls they got, like what girls they talking to. All right, bet they at the game. Okay, cool. Now I'm finna embarrass you. I got to embarrass. You know what I mean?
Oh man.
Yeah, it was one of them type things for sure.
Man, I love that. So I gotta ask, because fans love to hear it. Who is the single biggest trash talker on Jackson State's defense?
Oh, the single biggest trash talker on Jackson State defense. Man, dog, it's a lot of people that talk trash on our defense. A lot. If I was to say the biggest though, it would have to be. It would either have to be Aubrey, or Junior Conyers. It would have to be
Oh
one of
yeah.
those two. Like one of those. Like I'm talking about. They be going at it. They be going at it in the game.
Oh, man, I remember watching because Coinus came in my freshman year when I was a freshman at Auburn, and man, when every time he got in, you could tell I was like, Coinus is letting them know. You could tell for the stands Coinus was talking.
Nah, fast. That's my god, though, man. I love that guy like my mama had him. That's like my brother. That dude right there is single-handedly one of the most funniest people I've ever met. Like I guarantee you.
Oh, man, I love to hear it. But man, what is the number one mistake an offensive lineman can make against you?
The number one mistake I feel like an offensive lineman can make against me is trying to be too aggressive. Like I see that a lot, especially like when if I'm down inside because they see that I'm sort of kind of undersized, not really, but they try to come off super aggressive, but then I know like I'm still elusive. You know what I mean? Like my hands are still stout, and I feel like that's the biggest part of a defensive lineman. Period is your hands and your vision and your feet. I feel like if you have those three things right, it doesn't matter what an offensive lineman can do, they're not going to win against you. You know what I mean? So for me, I feel like if I'm getting that feeling from a guy where, all right, he's trying to get aggressive on me. Like, okay, if I see like they're getting close splits, it's a double team, and like the guy that's been, mainly base blocking me the whole game, if I know that he's an aggressive guy, all right, I'm gonna try to split the other team on the other guy because I know that even if you come off try to be too aggressive, you're gonna either come off and missing, or you're gonna either come off and you're gonna run into him. You know what I mean? And I'm just gonna split the double team regardless. So me myself, I feel like that's the number one mistake an offensive lineman can make me is just trying to be too aggressive. You know what I mean? Not trying to play their game, but only trying to play into my hands. You know what I mean? So that's one number one mistake.
Hey, I like that you shout out the feet, hands, and everything because as a former O lineman, if the D lineman let me win the hand battle, it was over.
Right,
No matter what
exactly.
you did, no matter
Exactly.
what you did, you could spin, you could swim. If I got my hands on you, it was a wrap. But to give a little bit of credit to some people you played, and we'll do a Jackson State version because I know you guys played some crazy teams at Georgia
Right.
Tech. But who was the best offensive player you faced this season?
The best offensive player I faced this season. Man, does practice count?
I'll let you pick one Jackson State player, one player you played on another team.
All right, one Jackson State player I feel like who went crazy, like best offensive player. A lot of people might say Shador, but a lot of people don't really see like Pickett, our running back, number 2. Like literally our whole running back room, like them guys are different. Like from JD Martin to Pickett, all the way, you know what I mean, down to the freshman that we got coming in, his name Dez. Like those guys are like, shoo, like you know what I mean, like the cuts that they make, because those guys are D1 too. Like Pickett came from Liberty, you know, JD was really about to go to LSU, I guess, you know what I mean? And those guys came in, but the way those guys work every day, and the way they keep their feet churning, it's hard to bring them down, you know what I mean? And Pickett himself is a big body. Like Pickett like 220, real short, real
Yeah.
stout, a guy that's gonna bring it every day. And outside of them guys, I would really say, shoot, man. We kind of dominated everybody this year. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's really kind of hard. Like, a best person.
I was like, it might have to be somebody from like South Carolina State because a lot of other teams really did put up a lot of.
But see, that's what I'm. Even against South Carolina State, like there was max protecting. Like it wasn't one-on-one blocking. You know what I mean? It was like that whole game was max protect, 2 receivers out. So it's really hard to say it was the best. But if you was to ask me, definitely, I think the person that comes the closest was maybe Zatire from Southern. He's a dog. He's definitely a dog. Do I feel like tackle maybe the right position for him? No, maybe inside on the guard, maybe a little bit better for him. But definitely that game that we played them, he was definitely trying to come off hard. He had great feet. You know, he has a big upper body. You know what I mean? And he was one of the guys that was very technical, like very technique sound. You know what I mean? Very like hands. He always tried to win the hands battle. Always tried to win the hands battle off rip. A guy that you really couldn't tell if it was run or pass. You know, his stance was pretty legit. So I would say like best like technical. He was very, very technical. He was like one of maybe the most technical sound people I done played this season.
Oh man, adult. Like I got to cover him at the Senior Bowl this year. And by the way, I like you said that they did move him to guard at the Senior Bowl, so he's
Hey, great.
a lot of
Okay.
guard. Yeah, he's playing a lot of guard. I think he played guard the entire week at the Senior Bowl, so I think you saw that perfectly on that. But man, everyone knows about the documentary that was filmed, of course, and you got to be one of the featured players in it. What was that like, man? Walk me through getting to campus, preparing for a season, and having cameras from Barstool everywhere, man. What was that like for you?
At first it was kind of like a little disconcerting, you know what I'm saying? Only because, you know, you got so much going around, you know, locker room talk all the time. You got cameras around, so you always pretty much on the edge. But at the same time, it's also putting you in the best place to be a professional. You know what I mean? That's how I took it. I didn't take it as a negative. I kind of took it as a positive. Like, all right, this means I need to be professional. You know what I mean? I need to make sure, like, watch what I say, even if, you know, I might have not meant it like that. Not trying to offend anyone. Making sure, you know, I'm always on time to stuff, you know what I mean? Because coach call you out, definitely on the documentary. Take the song, like it was like a lot of like taking accountability, you know what I mean? I had to take a lot of accountability for stuff. So I feel like really it was more one of them things where I seen it as a blessing, you know what I mean? Because those guys held me accountable. I made sure I was on time to everything, which I was already an on-time person, but I made sure to make myself look good to the camera people because I was always on the first walking in, so they'll always record me. You know what I mean? So that really, like, those guys are great people as well. Like the whole production staff, you know, there was never negative. You know what I mean? When I told them about I was writing my book, those guys reached out, put me in touch with a lot of people. So it wasn't like a thing where like we was always on edge. We had to watch it. Like, nah, those guys were very like family oriented. They always made us feel comfortable, never made us say nothing that we really didn't mean. You know what I mean? Like we always said what we felt. You know what I mean? So I definitely appreciated and respected that about them too. So during that whole process, like I said, it was really nothing, never really negative. Like those guys was always positive, always, you know, uplifting. And, you know, even if it was one of the things where when we played South Carolina State to where, you know, if we were in the moment, we were crying, you were mad, you know what I mean? If you tell them, like, hey, I want to record this, and they'll respect that, you know what I mean? And they'll walk away. And, so it's one of the things where, like, I got a lot of respect for those production staff, and I really have, like, some close relationship with those guys. So, some great people.
Hey, man, and they did one hell of a job too. I mean,
Definitely.
the quality and from the storylines and like you said, even Coach Prom, he's not hesitating to call people out on camera
All
either. I
right,
mean,
right, exactly.
from James to it didn't matter who it was. They were getting
Right,
called out to Shador, Shallow, it didn't matter. But
right.
man, last question here, and I love asking, people headed to the draft this question. If an NFL franchise asks you what they're going to get in Antwan Owens, what do you tell them?
You're gonna get a professional. That's the biggest answer I can give, because professional is not only in one aspect of life, it's in everything. You know what I mean? To me, to my understanding, I'm a professional in the classroom, I'm professional in life, I'm professional in the field. You know what I mean? I know what I got to do, and I take accountability for what I got to do. You know what I mean? Like, if my legs are hurting, I have to get in the cold tub. I'm not going to say, I'm tired today, let me go home. If I got work to do, if I know I got to go get a workout in, if I know, like, my arm is hurting me, I'll go get extra treatment. I'm gonna go work out. It's never one of them things where you have to worry about me, you know what I mean, not doing what I'm supposed to do. Because ultimately, I feel like if you're doing what you're supposed to do, something's good going to happen. Like, I could be the last guy on the roster. You know what I mean? If I'm doing what I got to do and I'm supposed to do every single day, I know that it's going to be a brighter day. And ultimately, I'm going to be, one of the top people on the roster. So that's really what an NFL team I feel like would get out of me, is just professionalism. Professionalism with everything. Professionalism with understanding, hey, I might not be the guy, that might get in the first rotation or the second, but I am a guy who's going to work his ass off to make sure I do get in the top two. You know what I'm saying? So that's really how I feel about, myself and what an NFL franchise get out of me.
Man, I love that. It's like you said, just pure professional. And man, listen, this time is yours, man. I just appreciate you giving me some time while you're training for the draft. While I know you're one of the busiest guys out there, but I know you got a lot of stuff to plug, man. Listen, I got me a hoodie on the way, the fire merch, by the way. So
Appreciate you.
definitely plug that. I know you got a book coming, all this kind of stuff, man. So Antwan, plug your social media, all the things you got coming down the pipeline, man, and let the people know where they can find it all.
Everyone can follow me at my name, Antwan Owens, TheAntwanOwens. Everything as far as news, anything else I have to say will probably be shown there first. You know what I mean? I'm not a big social media guy, but I'm always active. I'm always online. I'm always trying to respond to people, trying to get the best, response possible. But I actually have a lot. My NFT came out. I have an NFT out, by the way. I got some B1 patches. If don't nobody know what that is, those are vitamin enhanced patches. They help you with energy, stamina, focus, all those things. I have my own B1 patch line. Just really a lot of things in the work. I'm going to be releasing some new merch soon. Just a lot of things in the works for me right now. I've been trying to focus on pro day and the draft and everything like that. But now that I've kind of got some downtime, after that, up until the draft, I'm pretty much all businessman, Antwan Owens, Renaissance man, as they say on the documentary. So that's all me. I'm always willing to listen to somebody as far as like business related stuff, football. If anyone wants to just reach out to me and just say they're a fan, and I'll respond. I'm not one of those guys. It's Hollywood. I'm a regular guy, just like you, regular person. You know what I mean? So I appreciate everyone. You know what I mean, for just keeping up on me, keeping tabs on me, and allowing me to be on this show. And I appreciate you for just inviting me here and allowing me to speak my voice.
Oh man, for sure. Yeah, I definitely wanted to get with you at the Legacy Bowl, man. But the few of those days when they had y'all running out there, I was like, I got a list of people I wanted after practice, and then those 2 rain days, they were like, everybody get on the bus, and I'm like, all right, well, I guess never
Yeah,
mind on that then. But guys, listen, I'm telling you, this guy's got one of the most fire logos in college football. So definitely go cop you a hoodie. The link is on his Twitter, and of course, all the social media handles for Antwan are going to be on the thumbnail and link below, guys. So make sure to go follow Antwan on all social media and follow his journey to the NFL draft. And like I said, cop some merch for sure, guys. But
sure.
for Antwan, myself, and the Blue Bloods guys, we are out for right now.